Hello and welcome to my channel. So I know this looks a little different because this is a very different angle. I'm actually filming this video from my desk versus usually I'm pushed back a lot closer to the bookshelves. Doing it this way though because in this one we're going to be expanding on the talking about random books video I did a little bit and actually turning this into the random 10 books or 10 random books tag, however I end up naming it. I wanted to do this because that actually turned out to be a pretty fun video to do where I just talked about some random books, maybe ones that I hadn't really talked about before, some I hadn't even read, and so I decided to expand it because a lot of people actually thought it seemed like a fun thing to do, so we're officially making this a new original tag/challenge to do 10 random books. So there's got to be some stakes here. So the challenge is going to be to talk about each of the 10 random books from at least 1 minute. Now, for books that I've read, this should be pretty easy, but as I learned last time, the random fate of random.org is not always nice to me picking books that I've read, so this could actually be pretty interesting. So I'm going to see if I can pass this, and I will be jumping back into the list of some punishment books that have been nominated that I've acquired over time. And I'll find out, I'll have to announce which one I'll end up reading if it does happen. I don't have them pulled out right now, though. So, those are the general rules. I already have grabbed the books, but I haven't really prepared any remarks. And like I said, some of them I haven't read, so there's not much I could prepare anyway. But I am going to be looking. I have a stopwatch ready here on my laptop, and I'm going to be going in and talking. And boy, did it pick some random ones. So just to confirm, before I did this much less officially, because it was just kind of a video I was doing, I actually finished earlier today cataloging all of my books that I physically own in an Excel spreadsheet, and then I put it in alphabetical order. By title, I took out thes and a, stuff like that. So it's the first main word of the title in alphabetical order, and then I put the, from 1 to the end in random order and had it pick me 10 random books. So, with no further ado, let's go. As soon as I pick up the first book, I'm going to start the stopwatch here, and you can, of course, time along at home. I'm not technologically sufficient enough to put a timer on the screen when I'm filming on my phone. I think I could do that if I was using a webcam, but I'm using the phone. So you can time along with me and check and make sure that I'm keeping, but I'm going to be watching to make sure, so the next part should be about 10 minutes. All right, book number 1 is Heatwave by Richard Castle. So this actually I have not read, but I got this because if you're not familiar, we have Nathan Fillion on the back here, and this is actually a book based on the TV show Castle. In the show Castle, Richard Castle is an author who does like the big like thriller type novels, like James Patterson or somebody like that, and he ends up working with the police when somebody is killing people with the same methods that happened in some of his actual books. And so because of that, he ends up consulting with them. And so this, I randomly found at like a Goodwill or a Salvation Army or something. There's actually, it specifically is noted that this is not for sale. So somebody must have gotten a copy as like a promotion or something and gave it away. But I've looked into this. This is supposed to be more like the novelization of an episode of the television show Castle. And so I thought it would be an interesting read at some point. But it's more so I just thought this was cool. And it's even, like I said, got Nathan Fillion on the back. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I just eclipsed a minute. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Next one is Duskfall by Christopher Herzberg. This is the first book in the Chaos Queen Quintet, which is a lot of fun to say. And I remember saying that when I got this in a haul. I'd heard really good things. This is a quintet, and it's not an author that I have read. So looking at this, the tagline I think that really pulled in, it's actually on the back here, there are demons that even demons fear. And so this starts with a guy named Knot who doesn't know who he is. He wakes up in no dreams, and he has with no dreams. I was reading ahead. With no memories, and has a lot of strange dreams. And then it sounds like he's going along with some other people. I don't really know a lot. I know I'm probably stretching this whole minute thing, but there's a few more people. So apparently, the person who married him, and then he abandons her the same day because he doesn't remember. But this is one I heard good things about. It sounds like it's going to be like a really dark, interesting fantasy. And I'm going to call that a minute on that. I've gone over. Some of it probably wasn't quality. Next up, we have the Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. And this is, I believe, book 2. Yes, book 2 in the Broken Earth trilogy. So I picked up all of these. I actually had found originally The Stone Sky, which is book 3, at my local half-price books. And so I figured I'd grab it because it was a really good deal. And then I ended up getting the other 2 later. So the 5th season is the first one. The Stone Sky is the 3rd one. And this, I've heard really mixed things. So a lot of people swear by N.K. Jemisin and really, really love this series. I think this is the series that really, I don't know if it was her first or not. I believe it was with the 5th season, but really introduced it. And so I think they all won Hugos, including this one, it looks like. But I understand the weird thing is that this series has at least some or a lot that takes place in second person, which is never something I've actually read before. But this is something that's actually really been on my list to get to read this series, just because, honestly, I want to know what my thoughts are. It's one of those series that seems people either love or hate, so I want to see where I fall in on, so that's why I have this book. All right. Next up, this is book number 4. This is Death Masks by Jim Butcher. And I was looking at this. I don't recall ever seeing this cover. I knew I owned this book, but apparently I have not looked at the cover in years because it's kind of weird. It doesn't look a lot like the other covers of these books. This is the 5th Dresden book. And I have not read this one. I read up to the first 3, I believe. I was trying to find them on my shelf. So I read the Stormfront, Full Moon, and I believe Grave Peril, so I think Summer Night, and then this are the next ones. Dresden was something I was kind of mixed on. I have heard it gets a lot better, especially after the first 3. I liked the first book enough. The second book with the werewolves, I did not like nearly as much. And I thought Grave Peril was okay. But it's a series I really need to continue on. I have a few more, including Blood Rights, Deadbeat, and Proven Guilty. So I have the next few. They're pretty short. It's something I really just do need to get around to reading. And I have heard, I know a lot of people like Andrew really loves Dresden and has read most of the books several times. So it is definitely something I'll get to. But these actually, the quick anecdote part is I got all of the Dresden books that I have in a Goodwill many, many years ago. I was not really familiar with Dresden at all at the time. But I saw the series and I'm like, oh, they got like 8 of them. I'm like, I'm going to grab those because that was really lucky. And at the time, I really only had the option to find books in like thrift stores because I had lived nowhere near bookshops. So it was a steal and a series I need to get back to. All right, next pick was Rise of Empire by Michael J. Sullivan. This is volume 2 of Reread Revelations. So it's not even like the first volume. I have not read any of Reread Revelations. The only Michael J. Sullivan book that I read at this point is Nolan. But I actually had started collecting these before I even read Nolan because I heard a lot of good things. And Reread Revelations seems to be the one that people just really, really love. I heard a lot of good things about the friendship of the main characters. And it's been compared to the friendship of Sean and Gus from the show Psych, which I love. So that just really sold me on these books, and I was really excited to read them, to be honest. So I really want to read these. I have a couple of the Age of Legends one, I think is what it's called, or Legends of the First Empire. But I do have all 3 of these ones that make up the Reread Revelations. I think they got a couple books in each. Definitely something sometime next year I want to get reading some more, because Nolan was a fun book. And I've heard a lot of good things about most of his other stuff as well. So I've kind of lost track of where I'm at. I'm at almost 6 minutes. But I think I went over on some, so I should have restarted it for every book. But we're just going to keep rolling with it. Especially because the next book is Royal Assassin. I laughed really hard when I checked the number I got and saw that it was Royal Assassin, because I could talk about this book for hours. So a minute is nothing. This is book 2 of the Farseer Trilogy by Rob and Hobb. This, until very recently, when I finished the second book in the Tawny Band Trilogy, was my favorite Rob and Hobb book. I absolutely love this book. It is absolutely heartbreaking, and I just can never say enough good things about Robin Hobb. She is definitely an author that's not for everyone because of her style. Very, very slow. The Farseer, or any of the books that have Fitz as the main character, are told in the first person from his point of view. And it can be odd because it's not quite like a lot of first person where they're narrating. He is narrating and telling stuff that happened to him in the past. But the way he does it too is when he's telling the story, if there's something that he didn't notice or he didn't understand at the time, he's not going to dwell on it. You don't have any author like checking in to be like, oh, but he didn't realize this. It's just up to you to figure that out. And just between the interesting first person narrative and the kind of slow burn structure, this is just something that doesn't mesh with everybody. I encourage people to give it a try though, because I love the Farseer trilogy so much. I've also read the Live Ship trilogy, which I also loved, and Tawny Man, which might be the new favorite depending on when I finish Fool's Fate, so I'll have to see. But yeah, I'll stop talking now because I could keep going. Now the next one really made me laugh because I almost didn't even include this in the count, but they are books, and I do physically own them. I don't remember if I paid for them or not, to be honest. But the next one is Mystery of the Motorway by Greg Sanger, who's actually a friend of mine who, back in the day, many years ago, wrote several Doctor Who novels. I think I've actually brought that up in the Doctor Who tag when I did it as well. I did the cover, for the record, on this one. But so this is one of his stories. Not a super long one. There was one of them that was longer than a bunch of other ones. But it's just basically he was a big Who fan and decided to write some stories because he also is a writer. And he did a lot of stuff like this where he wrote kind of more fan fiction. He's written some original stuff too. These, though, definitely, it doesn't read like it's just fan fiction. Like, it is like a novelized episode. He did one that was like a novelized, like, trilogy of episodes is what it felt like. But this felt like it could very easily be an episode. I would direct you, I don't think he has them on sale anywhere. He'd printed them from a website back in the day, which I can't remember what it was called. It's probably in here somewhere. Blurb. I don't know if that's still a website, but basically you could directly upload the book to it and then get a printing and just pay for the novels, and they'd be sent to you. So I don't even know if they're still available, but fun book. Definitely gave me a laugh and some nostalgia to remember when I read these many years ago when I got that one. All right, so next up, I think I'm still on time. Next up is The Widow's House by Daniel Abraham, and this is book 4? Yeah, I think book 4. I swear it said it. Oh, Dagger and Coin 4. I'm just blind. Book 4 in the Dagger and the Coin series by Daniel Abraham. Now, I have not read any of this series yet. In fact, I probably jumped the gun on it, but I started getting this series because I'm so excited to read Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham, which has been recommended by many people. Alan from the Library of Alexandria is one who talked about it quite a lot and really got me interested. So I got the Long Price Quartet. Before I even had heard of Daniel Abraham, and before I had that, I happened to find the first book in this series actually at a Dollar Tree for literally $1, the first book. So I picked it up, and then like, oh, that's cool. And then later I found the second book at my half-price book, so I'm like, oh, I'll just grab that too. And then I ended up getting Long Price Quartet, and be like, okay, I'm going to read Long Price Quartet before I read The Dagger and the Coin. But then I just got this, when I was just recently at half-price books, they had books 3 through 5. I'm like, I gotta get that. I can't pass that up. So I grabbed it. So I now have, I don't know if there's more than 5, but I now have the first 5 books, or all 5 books, if there are only 5, in The Dagger and the Coin. So this will be something sometime next year, probably late next year, I'll try to be getting to. I am going to be starting Long Price Quartet in November, though, so I'm really excited to get to that. All right, just 2 left, and I must have hit, nope, it just froze. Okay, it's still going. I'm over 10 minutes, so I think I'm okay. I don't think I talked for any one book less than a minute, so I'm going to still call this good. Next up is The Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. As has been a theme, I didn't get a lot of books that I've read, but I have actually seen the BBC movie of this one, and so I do know a lot about the story. And The Hogfather is basically, because I'm assuming their adaptations were pretty faithful, and I'm assuming it is a pretty faithful adaptation. Is basically the Hogfather is like the Discworld version of Santa, with some major differences. The first being that basically the Hogfather started as a very like a war spirit or something, and this kind of goes into more, I'm expecting, of what was talked about in Small Gods, with like gods existing based on their followers believing in them, and also some more of the anthropomorphic personification, like death. And this is a book. I don't know if it counts as a death book, but it's definitely a book. Yeah, it has to be a death book, because it's mostly about death. But basically something happens and the Hogfather is indisposed, and so death has to take over as Santa, basically. And there are a lot of famous quotes. This is, I feel like, one of the most well-known Discworld novels in just outside circles, because I'd heard of this long before I knew who Terry Pratchett actually was, because he wasn't an author I was familiar with many, many years ago, but I'd heard about this book. So I think this is pretty well known, and is one I really am excited to get to read. I have quite a... Well, actually, no, I don't have that many more. I think I only have it looks like 6 books until I get to the Hogfather, because I am reading in publication order. So I'm getting closer. I need to catch up on Discworld too. I'm super behind. But I'm excited to read that one and all of the other ones in between and after, because I love Discworld, and it's amazing, and it's another thing everybody should absolutely check out. Alright, finally, we have Elven Star, and this is the Deathgate Cycle Volume 2. So I've never read this. I know Alan and some others had talked about it. I actually ended up getting the whole series from Evie from She Was Only Evie, because she was on hauling and had posted in Discord saying that she was getting rid of a bunch of books. So I jumped on it. And the Deathgate Cycle, I don't know a ton about. It's by Weiss and Hickman, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. And after recently doing a reread of the Dragonlance Chronicles, it just has kind of made me more interested to try out more of their stuff. And I know this is the other like big series that's outside of Dragonlance that I have not read. I did read their Dark Sword trilogy, which I hated. It started out with promise, and it just went really bad. So I'm really hoping I'll enjoy this. But it's like basically the sorcerers like split the world up into different realms, and then now mages can like work spells in different realms, and somehow there's like a gate between all 4 realms. And there's like supposed to be like these different worlds and realms, and it sounds interesting. I'm maintaining, I for the most part do like Weiss and Hickman and the books that they've written, even though I've had some negative experiences with the Dark Sword trilogy. But so I am excited to get to this. This is another thing, though. I'm not even considering starting this until sometime next year. It would probably be mid to late. I have too many other things going on, so definitely won't be something I'll be getting to anytime sooner than that. So, that was 10 books and just about 14 minutes, it looks like. So that is what we have for the 10 random books tag. I am going to just issue this, kind of like I did for the ABC one, as an open challenge to the creation wizards in the Wizardly Do It Discord. For those of you that aren't in the Discord, we have basically anybody who is a creator, we have tagged as creation wizards. And so I'm just going to kind of open it up as a challenge so that the people who mentioned it before who wanted to do it still completely applies. I've just added some more structure to make it probably easier to get a video and have it fill out better. And also, for anybody else who's not a creator, we do still have the tag channel where you can, if you want to, find 10 random books and just do a little blurb about them in there. And I figure it's a really interesting way to talk about books. Most of these books are ones I probably would not have talked about at any point, anytime soon, or at all for a couple of them, because they were just really odd random picks. So this was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts were on any of these books, or if you have read some of the ones that I haven't, or if you want to do this, let me know in the comments or in the Discord. Really excited to see other people's videos if you do decide to do this. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and of course, if you'd like to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe.